Hi, today I'll be sharing my RC conversion of the Guillows A6M2. So this kit is actually, I think it's one of the smallest Guillows kits in the series, and I didn't realize that until I got it. When it arrived, I was kind of scared from the size of it because I didn't think a 2S power system would work in it. But I still tried, and well, you'll see how it turns out in the end. So first I started with the fuselage. And you can see me using a few Legos as a triangle. This actually works really well because Legos are square and they can stand up like you see me doing right now. And I actually got really lucky because there was a perfect spacing between the aft formers that I could just set it there. And here's the fuselage after I completed the other side. So now I'm starting on the wing, and for the wing I had to obviously make the aileron since I'm making this RC. So a little more planning and thought was gone into this. Um, and you can see I use pins to hold everything down and in place when I'm building it. If you've ever built a balsa kit like this, you know that that is integral to building pretty much any part of the plane. Now right here, you can see I cut the formers right where the aileron hinge is supposed to go. And right now I'm making a kind of, I guess you could say, wall um, to separate the aileron and the wing. And it was kind of annoying because the aileron ended just a little bit further than one of the formers, so I had to kind of make extra mini formers to fill in that gap. It's kind of annoying, but got through it. You get a better view on this side since it's closer to the camera. And I didn't actually cut out the ailerons until I was ready um, to sand them and everything. And right here it shows after I covered the bottom of the wing and one of the ailerons, and that shows how I got or where I put the servos. So right here I'm building the horizontal stabilizer and the elevator. I actually made a mistake here. You'll see it a little later. Um, but as I place the stringer um, where the elevator separation line is supposed to be, I didn't realize this until after. It's kind of a stupid mistake, but I should have put two stringers there to separate the elevator and the horizontal stabilizer, but I wasn't really thinking when I was building this. So yeah, that was a mistake right there. I had to cut the stringer in half, which was kind of a problem because obviously I didn't have much material to work with, especially on the elevator side. So I had to add more stringers um, to back it up. That was that was mostly annoying. Wasn't really problematic, um, but if you build this, just keep that in mind. I did learn my lesson on the rudder though. Right here you can just see me putting the stringers in place. And I didn't actually capture any of the control surface building, I suppose, because that's kind of a process, and I'll have, I guess I'll have a video up soon talking about that stuff. And here's the finished elevator and horizontal stabilizer. You can see how I linked both elevators together with that metal rod, and how I'm using very minimal hinge material to keep the stress down. And now I'm building the vertical tail section. On this section I did I glued them a little differently. I first glued the or put glue on it, and then I put it in place. With the other ones, I put it in place and then I put the glue on. And here, yep, you see me putting the 2 stringers instead of just the 1. I actually had to cut that one in half since it butts up against the bottom of it. And here I'm making that little section of the rudder that sticks out, the overcenter I think it's called. And I'm having trouble. You'll see I had some trouble on this stringer. I just wanted it to get to have a snug fit. I didn't want it to be too little or too long, and then I end up screwing it anyways because it's a little off center. Here I am gluing the last sections. And here's the finished vertical stabilizer. I still didn't cover the rudder in this picture. And here is the whole plane before I added stringers to the fuselage. So here I am covering the rudder with some park light. Park light is pretty forgiving material, especially for beginners and inexperienced people. I haven't had much experience with covering models. I have done a few, but usually I work with foam or I use tissue paper before. That wasn't very ideal, especially for RC conditions. Especially since I don't like to make landing gear and I usually belly land things. It usually pops holes through the bottom of it with like hard grass and stuff. So here's the top half of the wing covered with both the ailerons this time. I still haven't gotten the wingtips done yet since I had to do those separately. And here's the fuselage with all the stringers in and the flight controller in as well. This is before I linked up any of the control surfaces or the tail surfaces. You can see I mounted the motor already with some thrust angle, though I didn't glue it yet. And here it is with the prop. This is before I cut it down. I decided to cut it down because it was way too big for the plane. I think it would have torqued over the aircraft way too violently. And here's the fuselage covered. I don't think I shrunk. Yeah, this is before I used the heat gun on the battery hatch and that center section of the fuselage. And this is just a picture of me showing the thrust angle. This was not finalized though, I changed it in the end. And here it is ready for a Maiden, though I actually broke the elevator linkage because it was running into the one of the aileron servo ports, and that was causing a lot of stress and ended up snapping the entire rod, which was problematic. So I had to fix that. I actually did fix it and improved it because now it doesn't rub up against that port and it has very little stress. Actually has the least amount of stress than all of the other linkages on the aircraft. And here's the finished plane. You can see I cut down the prop and I added the spinner. I actually did add cowl flaps too because I wanted that detail. I think those look really nice. Yep, you can see them right there. And here's the flight controller with the battery. You can actually see it. The battery, it was a very tight fit. I didn't really realize how small this model was